Yeah. Well, welcome back to another episode of the Macro Perspective. I'm Marcos, as always, with
Seamus, what's going on, guys?
what's going on. Make it awkward in the beginning. We just finished a great episode, and we decided we wanted to record something with us. These episodes do kind of go a little asynchronously now that we have a lot of people that we're interviewing. Thanks to none other than Seamus, with all the connections in health and wellness, and we have so much going on as it pertains to understanding like deeper health and maybe even maybe it's a little bit of above people's pay grades at times. I actually got told that sometimes I talk a little too jargony here recently, and I was like, shit, I just feel like I'm just saying the shit that I always say. But
Jargony, can you define that? Like you're a little too high or too low, or what?
no,
What do you
I'm
mean?
using too much, like, again, like hypertrophy is too much jargon for the individual that I was talking to. And
Oh,
she was just evaluating like what I said. And I was like, fair point. I thought I tried to do a good job of distilling it down as if no one knows what it is I'm talking about. But sometimes you forget, man.
what
Um,
was the example? If you
okay.
mind
I
recounting
can,
it?
I can tell you this. So I used osteopenia instead of osteoporosis, and that I made an assumption that that the individual, I mean, she's very smart, so that she would have understood that osteopenia was like kind of the beginning stages of getting to osteoporosis, right? And that was like one example that she said. It's like, hey, you assumed that I knew what that meant. And I was like, I mean, granted, yeah, I did assume, but because it was relevant to the topic that we were discussing, right? um so yeah, again, don't assume. Like, again, you, for everybody out there that's in health and wellness, and you know not that you're calling your clients or people dumb, but just like sometimes if you do talk too high level, it doesn't come down, right? And you know what, I'm actually was very um I'm receptive to feedback. I was like, damn, did I really do that? Like, I'm not trying to, I don't want people to feel like if I'm calling them dumb or saying like big words to try and sound smarter than I actually am. I just like to use actual the definitions. And I explained to her, like, this is me literally using my math brain because everything is defined clearly for a reason,
Yeah.
right? So, you know, the definitions matter a lot to me because this is where I feel like kids have a really hard time in understanding math in the 21st century. They don't know the definitions. So all that's like a big aside into the actual topic for today, though. So again, asynchronous content, yada yada. Today our focus is going to be, Seamus, as I didn't tell you what it was because I wanted it to be a treat, right?
Yeah, please.
Community center, community centered challenges and social
Ooh,
accountability. That's the topic of today, right?
community centered challenges and social accountability. Oh gosh,
So
what a
it's also
great topic.
related to like our group message with our performance health
Team.
group today. And you know what? Like, I was like, I misinterpreted the question that Rudy had asked us. I thought he was talking about like our
I thought he was talking about like
organization.
organization. I was like, oh yeah, let's do something like this. And then when he said front facing, I was like, oh, that's a totally different story. Like I got to give it a I got to give it a different treatment. By the way, before we go on to this topic, I do want to tell you, Marcos, like the person you were dealing with before, sometimes it is hard to give like the hard treatment of like, hey, saying one word. Some folks sometimes are like, what do you mean by that? And then you have to say it, but they're like, but what do you mean? And I had that recently too. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you, you're like, ah, I am inundated with these words constantly in our
Yes.
field. So I was like, you know what? Let me explain it again. I apologize. And
Yeah. And
I was saying genetics and like, oh, this is the makeup. This is your blueprint, and we're gonna go through this, and it's gonna be helpful for you to make your decisions. But anyways, it's the same thing. But dude,
yeah.
challenges with the community and social accountability. This is a good topic, man.
Yeah. So like, I'm not aware, but maybe there are more like social media challenges, right? That like groups support. I mean, we could look at maybe, I mean, hey, I'm starting 75 hard, right? And does anybody want to do it with me, right?
Yeah.
Or hey, like the community's hosting a gym challenge. And again, this is very relevant to me because I'm doing a lot of them right now. And I'm trying to find better ways to have engagement for the entire community so that we can like all rise up together, right?
Yeah.
And it is a very like modern problem, it in a sense that like we're trying to create these online support groups that allow people to instill healthy habits, but you got to gamify it. So the gamification, maybe that's what this episode really will be talking about, is like the gamification of challenges and
Yeah.
how we're interpreting it, and then if maybe people have some like feedback for us as
Yeah.
to like what they would like to see, because we have certain things that we think are fun are not for other people and vice versa.
No,
But
100%. Yeah. I mean, first off, from our understanding of challenges and social accountability comes from like the fitness and nutrition space. So we're very limited in that sense. Or very privy to it. But the ones that I know of that I've coached before are like 75 hard or whole 30, or I don't know. The biggest one that was like happening in SoCal that was licensed was called like Fit in 42. You got 42 days to get fit, or it takes 21 days to do to make a habit. So like 21 days to wellness or something like that. There's been so many, I don't know, so many different mixes to it, but it's always like I'd say the first thing is with the community, it's probably time bound.
yeah, there's always going to be a limitation to time because you have to have a start and an end date, right?
Yeah.
And again, like the modern age of challenges is not, it's not necessarily that you're going to win something, but like to me personally, I think the word challenge, and I think there should be a winner of it, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
100%. But that's what I'm doing with my 90-day shred challenge right now that I just started today. I'm
is
stealing.
that your wedding shred?
Yeah, that's my wedding shirt. I'm using that challenge as my like I'm competing with the guys. I did my DEXA scan on Friday. I gained 9 pounds of muscle and like a few pounds of fat. But I got to just shred like 8 pounds of fat over the next 12 weeks. I'd like to get to 10 to 12. I'll do it.
10 to 12 on the
Um,
whole logic, is that like your metric?
yeah, 10 to
That's
12 on the
lean.
whole
I don't
lot.
even think I got that lean on the whole logic unit. And reason
Yeah.
why, okay, everybody, again, not to like be like, oh, what's the whole logic? It's a particular DEXA scan machine. What's a DEXA scan machine? It's a
Do
thing that
electric imaging.
measures your bone and your fat tissue and your muscle mass, and it gives you your body fat percentage. And the different machines that all have a slightly different algorithm that gives you the data, and the number on that one is usually not as friendly. It doesn't give you the single
It's
digit.
I'm telling you this right now. I'm telling you this right now. Like I have abs. Like I have a 4 pack ish, and like I'm lean. My back looks good. And to see the number, I was like, "Oh, my jaw hit the floor," because I'm like, "Gosh, dang it! Like that hurts my ego so bad because the way I see myself is
Hey,
different." And then you realize how much work you have to put into to appease this machine.
bro, we have a saying here, not on the podcast, but in our other job, where it says you're only as good as your last DEXA. So if you get a single digit DEXA, that's all you can hold on to. Don't ever do another one.
Don't ever do
You're
another one.
only as
That's
good as your
the
last
last one ever. It's like that was 10 years ago, James. I'm the
one. Doesn't
shit, bro.
matter. I have it. Dude, Dr. M, my doctor I work for, he literally used to have his golden DEXA. He had it in there. He's like, I haven't been able to hit that since I was like 30, and I was like laughing.
It's
Uh,
like framed. It's like next
It's
to his
like it was like
medical.
framed. He literally had it pinned onto his wall, and then he's like, he's finally beat it again. But it was just funny. He's like, yeah, the glory days, and I was like, this is hilarious because I know we all know what to do, but again, he's like,
It's we all know what to do, but in a context of like for example, with this 90-day shred, right?
yeah,
It's a framework. It's a framework to help you get in there because we all know we need to do. Do we need to do a challenge to eat lean to make a better decision today to go to sleep earlier? No, but a challenge is great because of that social connection. Like this 90-day shred, like obviously challenges have a winner, right? You're talking about a winner. I'm going to do three winners. So there is, I think I did this last year. I forget the calculation name, but it's winner one is how much weight you lost. Now, it's relative weight. I'm not doing the most because there's
like a
guys
percent,
that were,
like a percentage.
yeah, there's guys that like lost weight that were like really big and guys that lost minimal weight, but like as a percentage, I was like, well, let's just use easy numbers. This guy's 200 pounds, he lost 10 pounds of fat. This guy's 100 pounds, he lost 10 pounds of fat. Who lost more weight technically? They lost the same amount of weight, but percentage wise,
10%
smaller.
versus 5%.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So
That's important to note on these challenges because then you're gonna have that comparison piece, and that's
yeah.
definitely a thief of joy, right? Like, so for you to like use that, and I will say that I did the same thing on the last challenge that I ran with the gym and individual. He started out when he first came into the gym. I think he was like 290, almost 300 pounds, and he lost like 10% of his body weight. Then he's lost like another 10 on the second challenge. Like each time he's losing 10, but there was other metrics that we were looking at, and I did not score it off of that particular one. Um, for this challenge, there was
Yeah.
like that was a factor into
That
the
that was a
score.
factor. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The
Yeah,
other one that I'm doing is like just images, like straight up. Like there's
straight
three
up visual
winners. Yeah,
transformation. Yep.
there's three winners. Like one, the weight, relative weight. Two, transformation. Because some people honestly they don't necessarily look that much. And I think the third one is just literally participation, or like I would honestly call the person that's like the champion of the people, the person that was posting all the
The
time,
engagement
that was
god.
engaged. Yeah, hey, there you go, the engagement. Because there are people in my community that are literally commenting on things. They're like, dude, you look great, or like, I think you're struggling here. Here's what I'm like, yo, is this guy a coach? Like, this guy's a fucking coach. Like, and so that way it feels like people have more control of how they can win. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. And again, we did two for the last one. One was purely visual transformation, which again, and then there was the total winner. The total winner was the total package. They were engagement god, they were seeing results, they were logging everything. So they were having to check a lot of boxes in order to be considered for the overall winner, right?
Yeah.
And again, I liked that because now it's like, again, we had multiple pieces that had to actually get incorporated in there. And then at the end of it too, like the last week to decide who won like the raffle that we would do for the weekly challenge, it was the person that literally just had the most engagement. I was like, this is easy. Let's just do that. Like, that's the winner. Like, I'm not even going to spin the wheel this time. Like, this person literally deserves something. I don't know because we haven't gotten the final photos yet to like truly assess this, but I would really feel terrible as a person running this challenge to not give that person something for contributing daily as a post or engaging. And like,
Yeah.
that's the whole idea behind this community center challenge, dude, is like get these people to, lift each other
Engage.
up and get after it and get the buzz talking about what they could do to keep themselves more accountable. Now, again, you're mentioning a 90-day shred, and then you're going to go get plastered for your wedding because I'm not going to not let you do that.
Hey, if you're coming out all the way to my neighborhood, you're gonna get a hotel. And we're gonna spend the weekend, like what, 4 days
Kids
together.
ain't coming.
Kids ain't-
Kids ain't coming, bro. They're staying with Nana and Papa. Nana and Papa are down the road now. They could be at my house or my parents' house. And we're going to party like it's high school because that was probably the
Yeah.
last time the shit got buck wild. And
Hey,
yes, they're allegedly people were buying things with fake IDs back then. So
allegedly.
allegedly, things used to get wild. I grew up in Las Vegas, dude. It was like you saw everything by the end of your high school
Dude,
time.
in Vegas, especially in LA, like honestly, like I honestly by the time college hit, like I had already gotten that out of my thing to
System,
like just
dude.
go back. I was like, all right, cool, round two, I guess.
But
But you know what? It was funny because like college was like so much easier because it was like I didn't care about fitting in anymore. I just cared about like dominating like my sport and just like getting good grades. And I was like, oh, this party thing. I'm just here to dance, bro.
yeah, well, and that's funny. I mean, again, your
I'm just here to dance.
party thing.
I'm here for the social accountability of the dance, bro.
All right. We gotta get the people what we want. We're not trying
They gotta
to.
go. Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, the way okay to gamify this challenge, right? So we did a lot of things in Facebook, and recently you had actually told me that there's benefits of doing it in Trainerize. Are you doing this challenge with this 90 days as like a Trainerize challenge? Is it like purely to
No, I
group like that, or how does that work?
it's purely in the Facebook group. I think because Facebook first and foremost, I think from a coaching perspective, it's just easier. Everyone that we work with is usually on Facebook, or it's pretty easy to manage. I've done the Trainerize thing before, but for the folks that are listening, the reason we like the Facebook is just because there's communities in there, and it really engages the communities, right? The ones that you want to go to. Everything's pretty organized. You go there and you can engage with people, make friends, and kind of things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but for tracking some of the data, wouldn't it make sense to also have them have like access to that, or don't people in your particular groups have that
They
access
do.
already?
They do.
Okay.
So there's a few things that we do tracking wise. It's kind of similar to what you're doing. There's like a form for uh, like week one photos, and then a form for like the last stuff, and then there's m- m- uh, spreadsheets for like their tracking for themselves, and then they just connect it with me, and we look at that, which is everything from their macros to their weight to everything else.
Yeah.
We're looking at those things. We're not going too deep. For the higher level folks, there is the trainerized concept where it integrates everything. Right, we were talking about this earlier. We are looking at sleep. We are looking at steps. We are looking at weight, but more composed in an app. I didn't put them in a community. I've done the community thing before. Within the trainerize before, but primarily it was just to update them and give them like deets on like, hey, when the community call is going to be this week, or any updates or like what the theme was that week. So yeah, there's a lot of organizational things for sure.
Wouldn't it make sense though? Like, okay, like, and people like, if you have a comment, let us know. Like, wouldn't it make sense to have like only one place to have to go to? Like, doesn't the messenger technically allow for a group to exist all isolated inside that app? Or is it because there's other things that can be shared in Facebook that is like part of the limitation of the other software? Is that why you choose that way?
I think people can do it. I think the limitation on trainerize, for example, is let's say they're in a community. The community message is like it's like a Discord, like nothing against a Discord, but you have to swipe up if
Forever.
people have
So
talked,
it's just
you
a
know, the
walk.
whole.
It's just a timeline. There's no way of like, but even I feel
Yeah,
like even Facebook does a shit job with that too. Like maybe that's what we do in
yeah,
our next developer life is like, hey, here's the dash, here's the
mhm.
like relevant post to that particular day or however to like.
Yeah, like the feed, you
Dude,
know.
it really bothers me that there's no chronological order when it comes to like
It's
something
like
that's
what's
meant
been
to be
commented.
chronological.
Yeah,
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 it's always like it always defaults to most relevant. It's like, how do you know? How does your AI know that? Like, this is not relevant to what I need. Like, yeah,
yeah.
this is most relevant because I had the most engagement. I mean, yeah, but I mean, everyone wants to look back. I kind of miss the days when Instagram had like you hit the end of it.
Yeah, when
You're
the
like,
F
I'm
do you hit
done.
the end of when the hell did you hit the end of anything anymore, dude? It just
You
keeps
don't. That's
going.
part of the algorithm, bro. By the way, it's like,
Oh
hey, you
shit.
never hit the end, and as soon as they realize that, they boosted the engagement and interaction and total time spent on that platform. So it's done intentionally. And then you're like, oh, like I have this post is from 6 days ago. You're like, well, fuck, I missed out on the good thing it wasn't anything pertinent. Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
I think the gamification is important. I think the gamification that you did was like the engagement, right? Like the
yeah,
weekly
it's
the
daily
themes. Yeah,
daily games essentially. This next one, I'm just the cat's out of the bag. This is what I'm intending to do. It's a little bit more work, but I think it'll be very fruitful, especially for a CrossFit gym, right? Going back to the other episode that we did, well, did it
last
actually
week.
drop the one that actually
Drop
dropped today?
today.
The one that actually dropped
CrossFit.
today.
Did that sale finish or anything? Gosh, maybe we should we
I don't
should
know. I don't know.
maybe we
We have to
should
look.
drop some money into that, Marcos, and M&E on that shit, or
No,
M&A.
I'm not going to be putting any of my money into that anymore.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm going to support all the people that are currently doing it and try to uplift the community because it's like, again, it's deeply rooted in what I do. But so again, this next challenge, right? Community centered, but performance centered too, right?
yeah,
Of course, composition, like my job as the health coach for a gym that is going to have performance metrics in there is for people to identify the phases that they're in. So again, this next challenge, while there will be maybe again, kind of like a choose your own adventure kind of thing. Hey, I want more
yeah,
body composition. I might actually win the challenge. Or hey, I'm coming into this because I want to get better from the baseline assessment to the ending assessment. So now I'm working in the model of like a baseline field day where
yeah,
I don't know what the workouts are yet, but maybe I'll just put it into a hopper and pull it out, a la CrossFit '08, Um,
yeah.
not really, I'm being funny, but
That's like the ranch back in the
the
day.
original ranch stuff. Um, but nonetheless, I want there to be a specific couple things. I might actually reach back out to Zach and say, hey, give me something that would be a good, like, we're in and out. Everybody comes in, they have like an hour. What should I do? And I want them to be able to then look back and then come back 6 weeks later to see if the nutrition focus again got them performance boosts and what did that look
Yeah,
like?
yeah,
Right. So, same thing. It's like, hey, again, this is where it gets really hard. People know that like you could just sandbag the first one and see the percent increase, but like, you know what I mean? Like, what are you really winning
Well,
here? You
let's
know?
talk. Yeah, let's talk about the performance base. So you said performance base, maybe pull out of a little racket thing. Um, are these performance based like things that they're going to see consistently in a CrossFit programming, like their
Yeah, it
squats,
might
their
be like
deads, their pushes, their
it
presses?
might
Like
just be
what
like,
is?
hey, you're gonna do the standard, which is like,
Mm.
it's like 3 workouts that are typically worked in together now, because that's like Isabel Grace and the 30 muscle ups for time. So
Oh,
like
that's right. Yeah,
again, like that would be very lofty
my
for an
shoulders would
average.
be fucked.
Right? So, there could be a variant of that, and like, hey, um, actually, you know what? Maybe I'll just have them do the standard, but whatever scale they pick. Hey, this is what
Yeah,
you get. And the nice thing is that like if you choose a load or you choose a particular gymnastic with that, then you come back later and you retest it and you see how well you've done. Right? This is more about like proving to yourself, like this is just a competition with yourself. If you sandbag it, yeah, you might win the prize of, as again, we're factoring that as a part of the score. Um, but again, this allows for people getting into there, hitting a certain number of gym sessions. Maybe that's like there's so many ways that potentially gamify and look at these things and like track that I'm kind of geeking out on like the data front of like what can be like the least course of resistance for people to actually be more engaged and just like check the boxes that they did it. And I don't care if it's perfect, but they were doing it, right? I'm going to take everybody's word for it, like because I
yeah,
don't have there's no way for me to literally find the time to like audit everybody. Like they're like, hey, I clicked this box, did you actually drink your water? It's like there's you know what I mean, like as it would scale up, I guess if there was like more on the social media front versus like a smaller community, right?
yeah.
Like if we did a community challenge with a bunch of people we don't know, right, there would have to be another way of like auditing it, right? You're wearing a wearable to actually like make sure that gets incorporated, which you mentioned trainer as already does. It pulls that data. For water, don't even know how that would work unless everybody gets a smart water bottle that tracks it coming out. But couldn't you just dump it out technically to hit your water goal? Like
Exactly.
this is where my mind goes, guys. Literally, like if I create a challenge for people, there's there's so many shortcomings to it when it comes to the digital sense.
I
So
think I think we were talking about this in our group. Like I think Matthew, one of our guys, gave like a list of like 8 things to do. My first thought was like, wow, this is a great list. But then I also thought like, what what would make it appealing for someone to do it consistently if they're going to do 8 to 10 things per day, right? Um, and if you try to make it, adherent, yeah, you want everything to be automated, right? Like the water bottle thing's automated. But I think there's an importance to just like letting people do what they do. I think they can I think they can track it, you know what I'm saying? They can figure it out, especially when they're I think when it's a shorter frame challenge, right, Marcos, you're able to do it and you're like you're just so much more aware, right? You're
mhm.
aware of your sleep, you're aware of your stress, you're aware of your water intake, you're aware of your food intake just because hey, for this 30-day framework, this 6-week framework, this 90-day framework with Marcos and Seamus, you're just going into it with a little bit more mindfulness. And that's the whole point of a challenge is to get you more mindfulness, on a lot of things. It's, some people, dude, they don't lose any weight on a challenge, but like Seamus, that was actually the jump start for everything I needed. I'm like, what do you mean? I sleep so much better now.
Dude,
I learned how to shop again. you know?
dude, it's so funny you mentioned that actually, because for the one person who did win the transformation part, he didn't have the social media, so he couldn't win overall, but he got the most out of the transformation piece of it. Lost 0 pounds. Like he was like, that was the running joke between me and my wife is that like, but I'm performing so well and I can see the inches like visually and like, my pants are fitting differently. And I
Yeah.
was like, all right, like again, there was maybe some muscle memory. I have to still like, I think that was part of it. He kind of had a little bit of a hiatus. So he was
Yeah.
like getting that like recomposition effect again, which
Yeah.
again is like a great, like I used to kind of hate challenges. And maybe this is just like, Jason talking like, for me. And I was like, okay, like he hates it. So I hate it. He's my boss. Right.
Yeah.
Um, I actually kind of love the idea of it now. It's like, hey, every quarter there's a new thing starting up, and you may have missed the last one, or you tried to do 6 weeks on your own, and it didn't end up going as planned because you just didn't have the community to connect to. And that's where I'm like, yo, this is actually kind of brilliant because we can always find a way to get people involved. Don't charge a lot, have fun with it. We get they're like, oh yeah, I
Yeah.
forgot. Like again, it
I
feels dumb to us in a sense because it's like, dude, it's just walking. But it's like, how long did it take us to build up our walking habits, or for you with the
took a
marathon
while.
prep shit? Like,
Took
it's
a
like,
while, dude. I'm still getting to it. But like, no, what I think Jason and you and me, I think we had the term hated it because I know for me, I hated it because I hated the fact that, oh, I have 6 weeks, 3 weeks, I don't know, 12 weeks with this person to lose as much weight as possible. And that's what we're promising them.
Oh
But we're
yeah.
doing it in such a way that, like, that was everything that the business stood on. Like transformation photos on the wall, right? Transformation photos on social media. And that's what everything it stood on. That, like, me as a coach, all I believed was, as a coach, I was like, I have to make sure this person loses weight at all times. And I think now you and I are just coming at it with the framework of, like, whatever the challenge is, we first initially explain to everyone, hey, this is a short framework. The real
Yeah,
truth
yeah, yeah,
is
yeah.
that we are using this to create sustainable outcomes. And I think for a long time, and the way we coach is a little bit more, it's that board health and wellness coaching style, but we know how to push people what we need to push people. But I think we've just gotten more patient. I think back in the day, I was just like, from day one to day 90 of a
I'm
challenge, I'm
gonna
like,
get results. I'm not selling the next person. But guess what also sells
yeah,
the next challenge is people having a good ass time, enjoying the fact that they like learn more about themselves. They're figuring out new ways to handle, their idiosyncrasies and like their OCD when it comes to logging and tracking.
yeah,
And you know what? Like this next challenge, I'm probably gonna hop in on it. Like I'll do it. I'm not obviously like put it this way, like I'm not necessarily doing it to like I'm competing with myself. I want to go have fun in that like a field day thing. I want to like throw
yeah,
down with everybody. I'm gonna, rent out the gym with the community, try to get everybody in there. Maybe I have to do it over 2 days. It's like you have, you have that open slot for 2 hours, like open gym. Boom, we do it. People get to have a good time. They get to then see how they progress. And the day and age of like old challenges, like, hey, and again, every time, this is the thing, dude. This is what is actually amazing about doing a community-based challenge inside of the gym every quarter is you got shit that you want to get better at.
yeah.
So if we
Performance
literally just,
based,
yeah, yeah,
water, whatever. Yeah,
but I mean, like in CrossFit gyms, especially, and this is why I love performance-based fitness, is that like there is generally something that you're looking to bias and improve. So let's just take a vote on it with everybody doing the challenge. It's a strength thing. All right, cool. I'm not gonna go and be like, hey, it's a 1 RM unless it's like, again, maybe I would probably do an Olympic lift because I feel like even though there's maybe more risk of injury, you're not gonna hurt yourself pulling a true max. You know what I mean? There's a little bit more to it. But everything will be in there that again would be voted on by the community. All right, cool. It's like, all right, well, this one, this challenge is, maybe there will be a piece of strength and then like the physical fitness or just something, that is more monostructural. I don't know. But that's the thing is like, that's the beauty of it. Every time it can get refined and get better. And people are
yeah,
like, last time, and then we'll wrap this up. Like the last time we did it, there were more physical fitness based things as the weekly challenge. And we didn't do that this time. And some people like got back, hey, I kind of missed the fact that you kind of pushed the walking and like the rowing and the biking and that stuff for a couple weeks. I was like, oh, good to know. We pulled it out
yeah,
intentionally and you noticed, and we did a lot more things that was like subjective and more of like relating. And it actually worked for more engagement. So it's like you have to have a blend of those things. And each time, I don't know what's going to be right. I don't know the group of people we're working with at that time. Right. But the commonality is like people in these types of environments want to look and see performance improve. Guess
yeah,
what? You want to also look good naked? Cool, that have that conversation. Hey, if this challenge for you at this point is you're driving the ship, right? And you're saying, I gotta get ready for summer because that's the next challenge we're doing. Like, all right, cool. Hey, can we maintain your performance? Right? Or do you even get better even though you're in a cut? What does that look like? Can we actually peak
that's
you
what I'm
for
doing right now, dude. That's what I'm
right?
doing right now.
Can we peak you visually, but then peak you for the day of the actual like lift and event so that you actually
Yeah,
still see improvements? And it can be done because people obviously try to hit a certain number when it comes to an Olympic weightlifting competition. And it's usually at the end of a diet because they're lifting when they're generally heavier to, mass moves mass. So again, I'm geeking out in the
I'm geeking out because this is performance nutrition periodization. I think we should just do a performance periodization pod. Maybe that's the next one because it's kind of like, it's weird. I know we have to end here, but performance periodization is weird because it's like, it's kind of like the back of our hand, but we're always like exploring it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So yeah, the one thing I'll never do in a challenge is a stretch challenge, even though I know it should be included. But yeah, man. Again, so community center challenges, yay or nay, and the current state of things, I am very, very much so yay, right? But yay with the caveat of like, hey, I'm
Caveat.
very open about this is 6 weeks, dude. Like, it's really not long enough. It can be long enough to get things moving, right? And you can get a pretty solid thing, but like, are you willing to suffer for 6 weeks just to get to that point? Because to think you're
Yeah.
going to sustain that, well, guess what? You haven't.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's the name of the game. Well, if you guys heard it here, challenges are great. Community based is great, and social accountability. Why? Well, not only are you going to be doing it, you're showing up for other people, and after that time frame, you want to make it sustainable. So if you guys are into that, let us know. We're definitely doing some challenges. If you want to get on the next one with Marcos, let him know. All right, guys, we'll let you go. Have a good one.
Peace.
Macro Perspective peeps. We are out.